And welcome back to Zanpakuto Creation Series. Today's Zanpakuto comes to us from, excuse me, Shadows82, who asked the question, what is Erza Scarlet from Fairy Tales Zanpakuto? So, Erza's kind of a unique character. First off, her spirit theoretically could be a guy. There is a male character in her life who did influence her a bit. I decided not to. I decided it wasn't quite a prominent enough individual. However, if you wanted to make the argument, you could. I wouldn't argue against it. But ours is also an individual character because she's a swordsman, or a swordswoman. Swords person. They're gender neutral. She's got equip magic, and it lets her bring out various armors and swords. So, the question is, would that translate into who she is as a person? Well, I don't think it would. Obviously, she would have a Zanpakuto regardless. And maybe she keeps her Zanpakuto stored in wherever it comes from because she can summon it with her re-equip magic. But I don't think that... She is a warrior through and through. But she's not... What's the best way to put it? What's a character that kind of fits her ideology motif the best? It's probably someone, given her style, her way of interacting, similar to, say, a Sajin or a Byakuya, though a little less Byakuya, probably more Sajin. Someone who's steadfast and follows the rules, basically to a T, more or less, but still has their own personal agendas that they will go off and, try to uphold. And she's an intellectual character too, but I don't see her as very much of a Kido type per se. I do believe she's not a straight melee type, though. We'll get to what I think her Zanpakuto ultimately is in a little bit. But first off, it's a standard katana that I feel is just apt. The name of it would be Scarlet River, which is Sakareto Kawa. And the bankais would be... her bankai would be... Oh, wait, it wasn't river. It would be... one second. I gotta do something real quick to... find out a name real quick. Because I thought the name would be, I thought I wrote that. There we go. So, it would be Tears of the Scarlet Waterfall would be her bankai. Which is, then Sakareto no Taka. So... Yeah, that would be the name of her Zanpakuto. Fits very well, her Scarlet being her hair and her last name. I think that just fits. The spirit of the Zanpakuto, I actually think of it something akin to an individual that looks like a more feminine version of Byakuya, but with red hair. Obviously a female in this case, a woman in this case. So I do believe that. This is one of those cases where I actually don't think the blade really changes. Although there is this mild air of distortion around it when it activates. And maybe it's a little bit more curved, a little bit longer, maybe not quite a Kodachi length, but a little longer than this katana. But what ultimately do I think it does? What is it that I think it does? I think this is more of an illusionary type blade. The reason I think that, I believe that is, A, she has a false eye, which if I'm not mistaken does give her some illusionary powers, but that doesn't translate here. I think what it is because she is a swordsman first and foremost, and a warrior, she is someone who, on the battlefield, is usually on the front lines. She has no problem discarding her armor for more powerful versions, albeit the ones that weaken her. So what I think it is that the blade automatically, as it's moving, starts to create doppelgangers of itself. Creates just illusionary doppelgangers. So you may be asking, well, she's not that intellectual. Aizen's Zanpakuto makes sense. He's extremely intelligent, very controlling, power hungry. Even Shinji makes sense because he's very crafty and manipulative. Why does this make sense for her? Well, I feel as though, keep in mind, she's nowhere near stupid. She's actually very intelligent. She's not an egghead or like a scientist or anything like that. But then again, Urahara is even smarter than Aizen. Aizen says this flat out. Mayuri is extremely intelligent. But all three of those guys are geniuses. Only one of them has an illusionary Zanpakuto. And Shinji is not on the level of intelligence of either of them, but he does have one. So it's very possible for someone who isn't in that kind of category of intelligence to have a Zanpakuto like this. And I actually think it would fit her very well, because as she's moving her blade extremely fast, the doppelgangers don't immediately fade. It's not like you just move the blade, doppelganger happens, and it just disappears. No, doppelganger lasts for a little bit and moves along with it, along with the user. It just stays in place for where it kind of activated for a little bit. Now, that said, she herself doesn't. It's just a blade that multiplies. This does not have any ranged capabilities. This is not a power tool. This is a weapon of strategy, where if she's moving at insane speeds, you don't know which blade is which at that point, because the blade itself is multiplying. Even if you know the ability, you got to keep track of which blade is which. So there is that. The Bankai would just amp this up more, where she'd just be able to create doppelgangers of herself. And, if with enough training, possibly even solidify them in the same vein as we know the Sonido and Shunko clones could be used. They could actually be solidified with some Reishi. So with some Reishi, she could actually learn to solidify not just the blade, which you could do that in Shikai as well, in theory, but also the Bankai, and just make solid clones of her that still wouldn't last forever, but when it's strong enough hit, they just poof out of existence. But think of it kind of like a shadow clone. Now you might be asking, well, why didn't you give Naruto this ability? This ability doesn't fit Naruto in my mind. And this isn't like true shadow clones. This is there's still illusions in base. She has to physically will them into being physical. Now, if she's not doing that, this Bankai and Zanpakuto does have a ton of weaknesses. As I said, it's not any sort of combat-based Zanpakuto in the traditional sense. It can't dual damage based beyond this basic blade unless more training is enabled. It can't do ranged attacks. It has no real strong defense. But it's still a very crafty Zanpakuto for a swordsman. That is actually, I think, a very big thing to have a very intellectually based Zanpakuto. So I do believe that this would be the Zanpakuto of Erza Scarlet. This is my opinion, obviously. I do not argue with anyone who thinks differently, because ultimately it is just my opinion. I am creating something off the top of my head based on what I know in the character. So everyone's ideas are going to be different. But if you like my idea, cool. Let me know in the comments below what you liked about it. If you got your own idea, let me know that as well. If you got an idea for anything I do in the channel, let me know that as well. You know the drill at this point. Or you don't. You're new and you've just recently discovered my channel. Thanks for watching. But until then, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Like, comment, share, and subscribe. As always, you want us to review something, put in the comments below. Let us know. We'll do a review of it at some point. Within reason, I've had to make a couple exceptions to that rule. Like sometimes there's just stuff I neither can't go see, like it didn't come to theaters, or I will not go see because it's something I abjectly disagree to see. So, and that happens like in 1 in 999, but still, it has happened occasionally. Anyway, I digress. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Like, comment, share, subscribe. See you later.